Welcome to Future Talk. On today's program, we're going to talk about several related technologies that are having an increasingly powerful impact. When we combine artificial intelligence, robotics, and drones, we get machines that can travel almost anywhere to carry out almost any task in an intelligent way. The merging of these technologies opens up enormous possibilities, but also some very real risks. We're going to discuss these technologies, the benefits and the risks, with my guest, Steve Omohundro. Steve has been a scientist, professor, author, software architect, and entrepreneur, doing research that explores the interface between mind and matter. He co-founded the Center for Complex Systems Research at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. He published the book Geometric Perturbation Theory in Physics, designed the programming languages Star, Lisp, and Sather, and is president of Self-Aware Systems, a think tank that works to ensure that intelligent technologies have a positive impact. He also serves on several advisory boards, including the Cryptocurrency Research Group and the Institute for Blockchain Studies. And we may talk a little bit about Bitcoin if time allows. Steve, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks, Marty.
Steve, what would you say is the most interesting development taking place in artificial intelligence right now?
I'd say its economic impact. In 2014, every major tech company, including Google, Apple, Microsoft, Baidu, invested multi-billion-dollar investments in AI and robotics. And so that's a sign that we're on the verge of a much bigger impact on society.
Now, what are some of the main things that this AI can accomplish now?
Well, there was a study by McKinsey that argues that over the next 10 years, by 2025, there'll be $50 trillion of value that these technologies will add. The primary areas are manufacturing robots, applications in medicine, automating a lot of business processes, automated cars, self-driving cars is a big area, and then there are a lot of military applications as well.
So we're talking about uniting artificial intelligence with machines, with robots, so we have machines that are mobile and can actually think to some degree. Are they really thinking? Do computers really think, or is this just a simulation of intelligence?
Well, people often make a distinction between what they sometimes call narrow AI and general AI. And today, all the systems are pretty much narrow AI. So Siri can understand your voice. That's something which was a research problem until 10, 15 years ago, and now it's pretty good. All these systems are gradually getting smarter and smarter. None of the systems that are actually deployed today are all that smart. But in labs, systems are getting smarter at an unbelievably rapid rate.
Now, I understand that there's a lot of work being done already in robotic manufacturing. In fact, I think we have a slide about that, showing some of the things that can be accomplished. Do we have that slide? Robotic manufacturing. Okay, well, it should be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, huge area. China is actually one of the leaders in that area. There are 420 Chinese robot manufacturing companies. And so they're making a lot of robots and they're starting to use them. One very interesting example is Foxconn. It's a Taiwanese company that makes 40% of all consumer electronics, including the iPhone, the iPad, the Xbox. Lots and almost many of the devices that we all use are made in this factory. Today they have about 1.3 million people doing that manufacturing, but it's not very pleasant work, very repetitive. And a few years back, Apple got a lot of flack because some of these employees of Foxconn were committing suicide, jumping out of the window. And at that time, the president of Foxconn said he was going to buy 1 million robots. And they haven't done that yet, but they're bringing in about 30,000 robots a year right now.
Well, now the employees might have an even bigger reason to jump out windows if they have no jobs at all.
Yeah, that's a big issue. And so the whole issue of automation of jobs and what is the balance between automated systems and humans, I think is a big issue lots of people are thinking about.
Well, repetitive tasks like automobile assembly, most big automakers use a lot of robots on the lines. They're faster, they're more precise, they're more accurate, they don't go on strike, they don't demand higher wages, they don't take coffee breaks. How can humans compete with that?
I would say any job that a robot can do is probably a job that you don't want to do. And my current vision is if you don't want your job to be replaced by a robot, you should do something that people want to hire you for. You should really add value to other people in life. And I would say, let's let the robots do the jobs that are repetitive and mechanical, and let's let people do the things that people are good at and love to do.
Although I think that many people are happy to do repetitive and mechanical jobs so long as they provide a nice paycheck.
Yeah. So one of the issues that there's a lot of discussion on these days is these new technologies are going to provide huge increases in productivity. How is that value that's being created, how will that be distributed among the human race? Will it all be concentrated in a few very wealthy hands, or will it contribute to the uplifting of all people?
And what do you think is the more likely case?
I don't know. That's a political question, and I think there are already starting to be battles along those lines. My own personal hope would be that I think we're going to have so much productivity that it will not be a very big drain on the worldwide economy to ensure that every human has enough to, eat, drink, good education, and good health care, and that on top of that, there's an opportunity for tremendous individual contribution, and people become wealthy on top of that.
Now, some robots are getting pretty sophisticated. They're being used to perform surgery. In fact, I think we have a slide of that. So we have robotic surgery where the robot cuts you open. So there it is. Now, are these robots essentially puppets where there's a guy manipulating the controls and determining every move, or do these robots decide where to make the incision?
Well, I mean, the initial systems were things that helped and assisted the human surgeon, particularly in brain surgery. Getting the exact precise positioning is very important. The robot surgeons were able to align with MRI data about exactly where the brain is and where they are. I recently saw a talk of a company that is making hair replacement robots. In hair replacement, you take little, plugs of hair from down here and you put them on the top. Very, very tedious, repetitive, hundreds and hundreds of little teeny surgeries. Human surgeons get very tired and fatigued after 3 hours of this. The robot surgeon, once it knows the structure of the head and where everything is, it just goes for hours never gets tired.
Now, I understand that artificial intelligence is also getting better at diagnosing human ailments. Talking about medicine, your iPad might be able to take a picture of your face and determine if you have high blood pressure.
Yeah, that's a huge area these days, both in the sort of diagnostic end, lots and lots of new devices, one drop of blood and they can run hundreds of tests, or even do DNA sequencing is a big thing. And then on the end there are now AI systems which are scouring the literature for new health results, correlations. Oh, if you've got this symptom, that probably means you have this disease. And doing data mining on all of that data and making much better diagnosis than typical human doctors can.
So is this what's called big data, where you gather data from many different sources, which normally would be hard to see the connections between them, but now with computers, it can pull it all together and you say, hey, there's a pattern here.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're making all kinds of progress with that. Another area of robotics is driverless cars, a car that drives itself. The only thing the car doesn't decide is what the destination is. You have to tell it that. But it decides what lane to go in, where to turn. It determines the route. So how complicated a problem is that to make a car drive itself?
Well, if you asked somebody 10, 15 years ago, they would have said, oh my God, a car that drives itself, that's probably the full AI problem. It has to recognize, what's going on in the street. Turns out probably the leader in that area right now is Google. They have cars that have driven over 1 million miles. There have been a number of accidents which have been in the press recently, but all of the accidents so far have been caused by human drivers, maybe being so amazed by these cars that they slam into them.
I think we have a slide of one of the Google cars. Can we see that, please?
Yeah, this is their new car that is meant to look very friendly.
Looks harmless. There it is. It looks not very threatening.
Yeah, almost a little bit like a toy car. And I think it's limited in how fast it can go. I think for the initial launch where people are starting to use it, the first driverless car that kills somebody is going to generate a lot of controversy. And so I think they want to be very conservative in how they bring this technology forward. But the potential impact is huge. There's something like 1 million people involved in various aspects of the car industry that could potentially be affected by this technology.